What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Good afternoon. Salutations. Turtle Sage here. And now we are back for another combat commentary. And today's commentary, we're going to talk about conditioning. Now, conditioning is something, I don't care what martial art you do, you need it. Because combat is a very physical activity. Whether you're doing it for sport, you're doing it for self-defense, or that is kind of your profession. Shout out to my military and law enforcement folks. Now, the three types of conditioning you gotta, think about and do is necessarily strength training, cardiovascular, and flexibility. Without those, you got nothing. Now that we think about it, without flexibility, you're gonna tear muscles, you're gonna mess yourself up, you can't kick over your waist, you can't do as many complex moves. It's just straightforward, right? Even football players work on their flexibility. This is why when you do arts like Kung Fu, like your Shaolins, the best Kung Fu people that I have ever seen as far as Northern Shaolin tended to be dancers and gymnasts. Ballet. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, that's for sissies or whatever. No, looking at it with a more mature, trained eye, these folks, if you put them in the right setting, they would be devastating. And then there's strength training. You can lift weights, you do push-ups, squats like the Shaolin folks. You do that horse stance. Boy, you can tell when folks are doing their horse stance. Kicking, their kicks usually tend to be devastating. And then you have cardiovascular. Shout out to my boxers especially, and my military people, and my police officers. When you're in basic training, first thing you're doing is running. Now, here I am in Tower Grove Park. A light walking while I'm filming because, I don't want it to be too shaky on the camera. Now, with that said, you've got to train all of these. And then you got to do bone conditioning. You got to hit stuff. Harden the body. But then, at the same time, be flexible. So, flexible steel. You're kind of like, I always tell people, the image you want in your mind is like T-1000 in Terminator. You can harden and you can go soft. Be the needle wrapped in cotton, as they say. Iron fist, cotton wrist. And depending on, yourself, if your conditioning is good, worry about your skill. Because you might have good conditioning, but you might run up on somebody who's a lot more skilled than you. This is where your conditioning does come into play. If you're as big as, say, like someone like Wilson Fisk off of Daredevil, this is where you should worry about stamina, flexibility, and skill. You got that, you're dangerous. Dealing with big guys who know how to fight, sumo wrestlers, it's just, forget about it. I'm shooting you. Because I ain't trying to take a punch off of you. For my little folks, little guys, little gals, your Jet Lees, your Bruce Lees, y'all got to worry about your strength. And, you've already got the natural speed and the natural agility. So you've got that. So when it comes to conditioning, this is where they say in the art of war, know yourself. Even at Shaolin, they know first and foremost that you don't know shit. And so with that in mind, I'm trying not to get hit by a car. They know you don't know shit, so the first thing they do is start you off with conditioning. When your conditioning's there, then you can learn the more high-level stuff, like body alignment. So, if you can run a mile up a mountain, your conditioning is there. If you can hold a horse stance for an hour, your conditioning is there. If you can do a splits, your conditioning is there. If you can bench 300 pounds, your strength training is there. So it's all a matter of where you are. Now, when I train with my boy Sam, he's big in his MMA. We do things like push-ups. We do skipping rope like boxers. We do pull-ups, bag work, all of the above. That will train everything. And this is why the MMA guys are so dangerous. So, they are athletes. Conor McGregor, that Khabib guy had more conditioning than Conor McGregor. You can tell by the second round, Conor was just like, I don't want to be here. I'm gassing out. And that's usually where knockouts happen. That's usually where submissions happen. 9 times out of 10, I usually think it's because of conditioning. Even in, boxing. One of my favorite fights that I'd seen most recently was Joel Ruiz. He's a Hispanic guy versus Deontay Wilder, heavyweight division. I would say that Ruiz was a more skillful boxer than Deontay Wilder. In fact, he had him in the 6th round, but the bell ran out and the ref didn't stop the fight. Because he kind of had Deontay on the ropes if you watch that. Now, after that, Ruiz was kind of tired. He's like, he left everything on the table. He came closer than anyone, I think, to beating Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, though, is just, while I'm not necessarily big on his technique, it is effective. He is knocking people out. He's winning fights. And his physicality is something that aids him. Deontay Wilder is like 6'7" and long, so he takes 2 steps. He's already closed the distance, even though he might be on the other side of the ring. Big guys, again, got that going for him. And it doesn't necessarily mean the big guy will always win, because this is where skill comes into play. And in that instance, I refer ye to the Rumble in the Jungle. Muhammad Ali, the GOAT, versus George Foreman. And I'm not saying George Foreman wasn't a skilled fighter. He really was. But then this is Muhammad Ali we're talking about, and George Foreman was like, well, I can rely on my strength to just beat him down, because it worked on Joe Frazier. Now, you also got to keep in mind that in the Rumble in the Jungle, it was simply that. They're in the Congo, of all places. The DRC. And even in the ring, the temperatures were like over 100 degrees. It's high humidity. Even when you're sitting down, you're sweating. And these guys are 2 heavyweight boxers. So, stamina, even the best person, it's not going to be, just in excess. But even still, you still have to have it to box. To fight anyway, you've got to have stamina. Like even when I do Tai Chi on people, if they're pure external, okay, Sure, I can redirect their moves and then catch them by surprise, but what if I'm dealing with somebody who has the same skill set as I do and in greater amounts? Well, okay, how many times can I do single arm circle before my technique gets sloppy? And this is where conditioning comes into play. This is where you gotta relax even harder. This is where, you know, maybe you run a little bit. This is where I'd fall back on external. I'd start roundhouse kicking them. I'd start jabbing them. I'd start trying to physically overwhelm them. And if my flexibility is not there, I run the risk of tearing something. If my strength training's not there, well, I can't go in for a KO, and eventually they're gonna take me out. So in all areas of fighting, okay, even when you're in the military, you gotta run. What if you're out of ammo? If your stamina is there, you might have to. You can't fight somebody hand to hand. You're gonna die. So, again, I don't care what martial art you do, whether it be jiu-jitsu, boxing, karate, Muay Thai, Tai Chi, Shaolin. Shaolin people, kudos to you. Muay Thai people, especially kudos to you. You guys have some of the best conditioning the world has ever seen. Running up and down mountains, fighting in a jungle, smashing bricks and banana trees with your fists and feet. Your conditioning is tier 1. But on top of that, you've got the skill to be even more dangerous. You know how to set up combos. You know how to KO people. So you don't have to rely on your stamina and your athleticism. But even still, condition. That's why I'm out here in the park. You know, when I stop this video, I'm gonna start running again. Now, with that in mind, train hard, be water, my friends. Learn more. Ring that bell, subscribe if you like what you see and hear. Turtle Sage signing out. Peace.